Hello and welcome to another edition of the FKT Showdown. And this week we have Callie Vinson joining us. She is going to be attempting the FKT on the 250-mile Maricopa Trail Loop. And this one is going to be hitting close to home because we are in Maricopa County. And yeah, we're just super pumped about this. I have known about the Maricopa Trail for a long time. It is close to home. It connects all of the amazing regional parks that we host a lot of events in here at Aravaipa. And it's basically a giant ring around the greater Phoenix area. So, let's not waste any time. Let's get Callie on here. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is just about 23 hours before you get started. So we wanted to do this pre-show with you, learn a little bit about the trail. We're not necessarily doing live coverage of your event, but we wanted to chat with you, shed some light on the Maricopa Trail and what you are attempting.
Yeah, so I, just like you said, attempting the new record of the Maricopa Trail FKT. There is a record set by a woman named Krista, and the current record is 109 hours. I coincidentally finished the Moab 240 in 109 hours, so this will be my fastest 200 plus miler attempt yet. So pretty excited. And what's nice is, like you said, it's close to home. We live like within an hour of every point on this loop, so that's convenient and dangerous to want to go home in your own bed and not go back out. But I'm excited. It's been great to do some training on the course the past few months, well, probably longer than that. But I've been on the course a lot, not only in training, but in Aravaipa races. So a lot of exposure, and I know exactly what I'm getting into.
Nice. Could you describe the trail for those that have never heard of it before? Like the different sections?
So, I mean, what's so nice about this is you're not going to be experiencing the same kind of trail for too long because it's continually changing. In the direction I'm going, it's going to be the prettiest parts first and the no man land flat canal pass last. So that might be a bad decision. But what's nice is it's got everything. It's got rocky climbs. It's got smooth, buttery trails, single track. It's got, dirt roads. It's got those canal cement paths that go through neighborhoods. So I'll be running along or shuffling along next to people on their, Thursday morning stroll. But it's got everything. Lots of lush desert terrain to savor for a few days.
How long has this been on your radar as something that you wanted to do?
It's actually been on my radar since before I moved to Arizona. So I lived in Chicago for 10 years, and for a hot minute, I was thinking of attempting a 200 miler that went around Chicago. It's called the Outer Bank Trail, and it's a full loop that goes around Chicago. Does a very similar thing in that it connects a lot of trail systems, probably the only trail systems around Chicago because it's Chicago. But I went after it, and I had to stop for reasons being I was a noob and I had no idea what I was doing. But I knew that I was moving to Arizona, and I was like, man, if I could do something like this around Phoenix, that would be awesome. And quickly realized, holy shit, there is this trail system that goes around Phoenix. I might be able to make this happen. It's a little longer than 200 miles, but once you're out there, it's like, what's the difference? So it's been on my mind for about 2.5 years now, because that's how long I've been a trail runner.
Nice. I think this is like relatively new, people linking together the whole trail. I mean, it's been kind of in the works for a long time. I know even just a few years ago, it wasn't quite completed. And I know they still have plans to build more trails as well. I think Josh Locke did it a couple years ago. I think that was maybe the first time I saw someone like decide on the exact loop, because there are these like offshoots as well that go connect a couple of the parks aren't in the main ring of it. But it seems like I could see this becoming more of a target for people in the winter months.
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is perfect timing, perfect weather to go after something like this. The weather for this week is, high of 70, 72, low of 48, 46, which is pretty cold. I mean, we were walking the dog last night and I had to put my North Face jacket on and it was 70. So it's going to be cold when you're tired and in the dark and alone, but it's still great weather compared to what I trained in this summer here.
So, Callie, given that you're doing this route, the attempt is supported. Could you talk a little bit about your crew and some of the support that you're going to have along the way?
Yeah, so originally I was thinking of going about this unsupported, but the more I looked into it and the more I put the word out there, one, it's very difficult to do unsupported because there's no water out there to, get nutrients from. And also that would just be something that's out of my wheelhouse right now is learning how to stash, learning how to fully depend on yourself and gas stations and restaurants. So I started leaning more towards the supporter route because of that. And then also, the more I put this out there, the more feedback I got from people saying, like, we want to help. Can we help? Is there anything I can do? And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I don't want this to be about me doing this accomplishment. I want this to be about community coming together and the power that that has. And I think, running has basically saved my life, and I want to do something to give back to running. And I want this to be more about just people coming together and what we can accomplish when we work together. So I have a full, what I'm calling unit of friends who have just come out of the woodwork or people that I know very closely to say, I'm in, what can I do? And I think right now we have about 25 to 27 people who are going to help along the way, which is insane to me that this many people want to do this over a holiday week. But I mean, we're runners and we love this kind of shit. So I'm excited for all these friends to jump in and join the craziness.
That's really awesome. Could you talk about, do you have a sleep strategy? I know obviously you've completed Moab 240. Are you pulling some from that experience? What are you planning to do? Are you just going to sleep right on the trail in a van or a vehicle, or what's your plan there?
I've actually never taken a dirt nap or a rock nap in a 200 before. I'm so nervous about just kind of like pulling off and sleeping on a rock, which I saw a lot of people do during Moab. So I'm going to do what I did during that race, and that'll be sleeping for about 2 hours each night. For the first 3 nights. So the first night I'll have my car, which Scott will be driving, and it's built out in the back. It's a 4Runner to have a bed in there with drawers, so it's lush. And then the second night, another person who reached out and said, I can help. I live over by this area and I have a camper van. I was like, you're in. So second night will be in a camper van for 2 hours. And then the third night, Scott will come back to Pima, or just, at the end of the South Mountain section. And I'll sleep in the car again for 2 hours. And then from then, I plan to just go out and not sleep for the rest of it. So pushing, if I need to, through Saturday night to Sunday till it's done.
The final push.
Push, yeah, with my stroller.
Nice. And I think we were talking a little bit before we started the show. It's about an average of like 8 miles between crew spots, you were saying, and with the longest one being 15. What section's that?
The longest section I think is going to be the start to Pemberton. So it'll be about 14.75. And then after that, I'm trying to think where the next section, it's in like no man's land by Estrella, where it's again, just like a 14-mile section or almost 15. But other than that, it's going to be about an average of 8 miles. Some section it'll be like 5, some it'll be like 10 or 12, but it's pretty luxurious compared to typical 200s where you're pushing, 20, 22 miles, 8 hours sometimes without crew. Where in this section, I feel like I barely even need to carry anything,
Nice.
They'll be just up a road. So that'll save my back a lot, because I know that killed me a lot during Moab. I mean, you're carrying like 9 pounds of gear during those things, and it can really weigh on you physically and mentally. So
For sure.
Callie, haven't done a large portion of the trail already. Are there any sections that you're specifically looking forward to or dreading?
So there's this section, I think, up by Anthem that is just awful because of the underpasses you have to go under. I mean, it's nice because they're pretty well marked, but it's just so like depressing and like sad, and there's nothing there except for like broken glass, and it's like, okay, we just got to get through this. I'm also what I say a terrible trail runner. I'm like a newborn giraffe. I'm tall. I don't know how to use my limbs or my feet. So going through the rocky sections around like the northern sections, that's going to be difficult for me, but it's okay because it's the beginning. I'm fresh, so I hope that goes to my advantage. But I'm surprisingly looking forward to the canal paths because, like I mentioned, I'll have a stroller that I've kind of decked out in a Pimp My
Oh,
Ride
no
style.
way.
It's got like fur handlebars. It's got streamers. I'm gonna have lights for the nighttime. It's gonna have a little speaker on it, so I'm excited to just kind of party as much as you can party between mile 170 to the finish. So yeah, weirdly looking forward to that.
What was the decision to use a stroller for that section? I'd imagine you're in the city. You probably could have a lot of crew support, or is it actually a lot further apart than you'd think?
Um, there are some sections that are a lot farther apart than you think. A lot of it though is in neighborhood, like you're going through Gilbert, you're going through like the east side of Tempe. But then once you go under, what is that, 202 maybe? It's just kind of like no man's land. That's another like no man's land section where you're in the middle of like construction areas. So that those sections are a little farther apart. But yeah, I'm just excited to kind of be in a flat section with my stroller. But the idea actually came from Pete Kostolnik. I was originally thinking of carrying stuff, and Scott was like, why would you carry stuff when you could just push it? You're on this canal path. It's half crushed, rock, dirt, or, cement. So just put in a stroller and you have your pacer, push it for you. Because you technically don't have to carry anything in an FKT.
Oh, nice.
You can have a mule in these kind of adventures. As long as your 2 feet are getting from point A to point B, everything counts. So
you won't even necessarily have to push the stroller. You'll just be running. Nice.
Yeah.
And you have plenty of people, I'm sure, especially at that point, that will be coming out with you. That's awesome.
Smart. Yeah, I know that section in Gilbert. I actually lived less than a mile from the Maricopa Trail as it goes through there. And there is a spot that goes through Gilbert. The Strava segment is called I Smell Waffles. You go right through downtown, all by these like chicken waffle place. There's a bunch of breakfast places.
Whatever flavor it is, great. I also love their chews and stroop waffles. But other than that, it's like a mixed bag of shit. It's like Trader Joe's chips, oatmeal. I love oatmeal for these kind of things because my stomach likes it. I also have people on like Chipotle emergency calls whenever I need a burrito to get through the night. They'll have it ready. I also love like the pre-made mashed potatoes that are at grocery stores. That worked really well for me during Cocodona and Moab. And then we also had to make a stop yesterday at Costco and pick up 2 of their pumpkin pies because they just hit the spot. They're $5.99. I don't understand how cheap they are.
They're huge.
They're huge. I know. We've already gone through shamelessly probably 10 this season.
Oh man.
They're so good.
Can we talk a little bit about how people could follow along on your journey?
Yes. So we're going to try and post as much as we can before the first 100 miles. But the first 100 miles, I'm going to be solo. So no pacers, but crew. But for safety reasons, once I get to the 100-mile mark, I'll have pacers till the end. So that's when I'm going to post a live tracking link that people can follow. And it'll be pretty easy. You can see like how much farther I have to go to the next aid station. And I think other than that, it'll just mainly be that tracking link. Yeah.
Nice.
I love that you chose a local trail to do this effort on. Like, I just think the concept is so cool of like circling this 250-mile loop around your city. And it's like, you're going to go out for hikes and you'll be on a peak and you just take like a 360 view and you ran around that entire thing. It also allows for like community involvement. Like, I just think it's a really worthwhile FKT to go after. I'm excited to follow along on this.
Heck yeah. I know so many of us are so familiar with it because it's what we train on. It's what we race on. It's what we go hiking with friends. It's so like, not just like literally local, but it's local to our hearts. Like, we've spent hours on this trail and it is exciting to do something that's right in your backyard and that we all know. And like I said, it's very dangerous because you're never too far from home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm going to try
Yeah, you
and like
could.
not even put that option in my brain.
It's like you could be home in your bed in 20, 30 minutes from almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous. But like I'm just going to remove that idea from the brain.
Yeah, not even possible.
No.
And Callie, are there any segments of this trail that you've done maybe more than the rest? Is there something like close to home that just like maybe you'll feel at home on that section of the trail?
Definitely South Mountain. I've
Yeah.
run and hiked and shuffled and everything over South Mountain, especially the trail national, which it goes on, and also Pemberton. I do a lot of running on the Pemberton section of McDowell just because it's so smooth, and like I said, I trip over anything, so I like that area for that reason. And it's so like just the epitome of the desert too over there. Like you get that like vast just desert feel with the cactus and the mountains in the background. You can see Four Peaks, you can see Mount Ord. I love those sections, and then because I live in Scottsdale, I spend a lot more time in that area versus like over by Australia and those sections. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to spend more time over there and really soak it up.
Get to know the West Valley and all that it has to offer,
Too well.
the avenues. It seems like, yeah, having South Mountain is kind of like a highlight for you. It seems like that'll be a nice carrot to keep you going, maybe through some of those neighborhood sections out west. Like, I know for me, that would definitely be like, all right, I just can't wait to get to South Mountain and experience that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've got some great friends who are going to be pacing me over it. And another carrot is once I get to Pima, I get to take a nap. So
That is
excited about
great.
that. We're most likely going to be going over South Mountain in the dark. So it'll be a whole new experience of South Mountain because usually I traverse that in the daytime. But yeah, I'm excited there's so many like little carrots along the way because you just know them all. And for me, Moab, it was like, I've never been out here. So I'm excited to see everything. Whereas like this, it's like, I know what to expect in different sections. And to look forward to. So that's a nice way to just like play into a positive mindset throughout this thing.
Outside of races, have you ever done a longer trail or FKT style like this before? Or is this your first time?
So funny story. When I was crewing a friend across the country, we took a rest day in Pennsylvania, and I just so happened to find this trail called the West Rim Trail. It's supposed to be like the West Rim Trail of Pennsylvania, or the Grand Canyon Trail of Pennsylvania, and it's a point to point. And again, total noob. And I was like, I'm gonna go set the FKT because there's no women record yet, and no matter what I do, it'll be great. I went totally underfueled. I didn't realize that the entire trail was without service. And then I also didn't realize that there were markings for the new current trail and then the old trail on this. There were also a lot of downed trees because no one does this trail anymore. No one lives over there. And so I got not only lost because I had no service and the map wasn't working on my phone. I started following the old trail markings. It was also the first day of bear hunting season, and I was wearing all black. So that was not great. And I also saw like a freshly severed deer leg. So it was just bad vibes all around on this trail. And I also didn't bring a headlamp because I was like, oh, I'll finish this thing in like, I don't know, 5 hours or so. Also a big mistake. But I ended up getting a ride from this hunter who was like, ma'am, do you know it's the first day of bear hunting season? I was like, I do now. So that was my first attempt, but it didn't deter me, I guess. So that was fun.
How will you be navigating out there for something like this? Do you have like it loaded into your watch? Are you checking your phone with the track?
Yeah, so I've got it downloaded on Gaia. I've also created it in All Trails as backup. I have it on my watch. I've got the Coros Vertex 2, so I'm hoping not to even have to charge this thing during the run, but I've got backup chargers just in case. And then I'll also have my Garmin InReach Mini 2 that'll have the map and everything. So that's how people can follow along as well. But yeah, I feel like because of all those bad experiences, I've learned a lot. So I know what not to do now in very many different ways. So
cool. That's awesome. Trying to think if I have anything else to touch base on. We appreciate you checking in with us. Seems like all systems are go for you and the team.
All systems are go. Just got to focus on a very non-stressful day, eat, I've got lots of water around. And yeah, I'm excited to just get this going and share the journey with everyone following along, and you know, be fueled on everyone's good energy throughout this thing.
When are you going to be breaking trail on this? When does it officially kick off? Do you have a specific time, or is it you going by feel?
I'm putting out there that I'm gonna start at 8 a.m. tomorrow, but it could be like 8:05, it could be 7:55, but around then. Only because I have so many people lined up to help, so I want them to like um, not have to like push out their time to help by hours or if needed. But yeah, it's 8-ish tomorrow.
Eight-ish.
Nice. That's awesome. How can people find you online to follow along on this?
Yeah, I'd say the easiest way is to follow on my Instagram, and that's Callie Vinson with 2 N's at the end. Otherwise, you can follow Scott. He'll be posting a little bit, and his handles run faster.
Awesome. Well, Callie, thanks for checking in with us. Best of luck over the next few days. We'll definitely be tuning in.
Thank you guys, and thanks for having me.
All right.
Yeah.
Boom.